Yes, so let's start with the webinar itself, organizational change management. Here you can see the agenda, a very short presentation, then some key elements about the organization, organizational elements you have, for example, in IT environment. Then one slide about definition, what is organizational change management. And the main part is where do we find some organizational change management activities within existing frameworks and practices. I took 6 of them. Let's go through. Short presentation, Glenfis. We are a consulting company. We are working as consultants in service management and governance and sourcing topics as well. Cloud. We have since a couple of years now also topics like cloud, agile methods and project management. We are consulting, but also this is a middle part. You can see we are also doing trainings for all these topics and then coaching companies in a transformation. And there is exactly the topic of organizational change management. Myself, I'm an employee here since 8 years, trainer and consultant. Also specialized in change management and organizational development, which is a central part for success of any big change. Let's start with the topic itself, organizational key elements. Like you can see here, you always have some transformation you have to do in your IT organization. It could be a small process you want to improve, or a huge project like a merge of 2 IT organizations have to come together. At the end, it's always the same. You have a lot of things changing. Some service has to be redefined, has to be reallocated, or the responsibility has to be redefined. You have processes, classical IT processes, incident, change, release, configuration, capacity, continuity, service level management, making some strategy level, some financial. Then you have the technology you are using for this operational tools like, for example, services monitoring or license management, all software, but also you are using for change management, all the classical tools to manage your processes. You have an organization meaning in the classical way, so some group of people working, having clear mandate, what has to be done on infrastructure level, on application level. You have a business relationship manager, you have a demand manager, a service level manager. Teams are all organization elements. And you have people, the people within the organization which are also affected. You have around these 5 dimensions, you have the 6th dimension, governance, which you need to have all these dimensions working together, and some external factors like the management, partner, customer, and sure, some provider suppliers. And all these, by any change, you have always to think about what is affected. And this is normally quite well done through all the organizations that you can achieve the target state you would like to achieve. I will go in 2 dimensions a bit deeper, the organization dimension, the people dimension, since are affected, since a lot of people think that in these 2 dimensions are covered everything I need to be successful in a big transformation. For example, here you have the dimension of organization. You can see also the elements which have to be changed, what has to be changed, some design principle you are defining how many people you need, which skills, which knowledge, You are defining clear mandates, what is doing each team, each function, the capabilities you need. And then you have normally a quite good organization. Same thing on the next slide for people. Yeah, you have to, on person level, you have to ensure that you have the right staff, that the knowledge is on the right place by the right person, that everybody knows what has to be done, so that once you go live, you have everything ready. You are ready for go live, so that also the people, meaning not only the process and the service and the technology, but also the people are ready to manage the new service or the change service or the new process or the change process. Like I mentioned before, normally people are doing it very well. Nevertheless, a few times it doesn't work well. Something is missing. And these are the culture topic. People you can ensure a lot of things, what we saw before. If the culture is not ready for it, then you have a risk in your change or in your project through the transformation. And this culture, you have to ensure that you are addressing it. So you have to know that culture, if the culture doesn't support it, you can do everything. You can have the best technology, the best processes, best services running, and etc. And a nice organization, an org chart, and people went to training. Everybody is now know about new technology, about new process, and it can fail since culture is strategy for breakfast. If the culture is not ready for this, it can fail. Therefore, you need organizational change management on the top, or within all this activity. You have to do some activity from OCM in order to ensure that you achieve the target state you would like to reach. So what is organizational change management? I brought two definitions, a generic one and one coming from service management. You can see the one from Wikipedia here, the red words you see directly. We are speaking about the person as people. There you have to ensure that the person is also moving to the target states you would like, in order that he or she is supporting you in the new organization you want to achieve. Also, ITIL within ITIL Practitioner is one a third of the one of the big topics here. A third of it is organization and change management, and here we are addressing all the affected people on cultural level, all the needs they have to have in order to support the organization. And like you see in green at the bottom, there are statistics showing that every on 6 projects, the potential to achieve a high level and change which has success is 6 times higher when you have organizational change management activities within the change you are doing, within the project you are doing. Let's see what are these activities which exist already which are described in existing frameworks and practice. Let's start with ITIL. ITIL you will find in 3 different parts, in 3 different placements. The first one is in service transition, where you have to ensure that with the change, with the transition, you are also bringing your people. There is a focus, very strong focus on the whole communication, which is needed, and ensure not only that communication is done, but also that people are committed to the new organization. And this is people management works. This is nothing to do with technology and processes. It's really you have to ensure that your people, after your staff is working at the end like the new state defined state. You can see also a communication path. You see a whole very interesting this emotional cycle of change. We will see afterwards that a person, we will see also some statistics afterwards, that most of the people has got some difficulty with changes, and you see the curve which a person has to go through. And if you know about this, then you can also manage it. If you know that at the first moment he's under shock, no, it's not possible that something like this happen. Then he's a shock, he will deny, and there will be an avoidance, and then there will be a self-blame game starting. This is like a small sort of depression, and hopefully somewhere he will start to accept the new situation and be proactive. How long does it take is very, very different for every person. Can be another frequency of this curve. These are information you can find in service transition within ETIL. Another slide about service transition, and this is a very important activity you have to do. This is stakeholder management. You see here some examples of activities which have to be done. The first one, you have to identify the stakeholders affected, and this can be in your organization, can be by the customer, by the supplier, by the management, and all of them you have to put afterward in a map here called stakeholder map, an example of stakeholder map, so that you know also how they are affected to the change. These are all activities you have to do before you are starting any activities within the project, so that you have an overview of also the impact of the change on your organization on person level. Left, you have on the down, you have a power impact matrix. We will speak afterwards again about this. There's even a nicer one coming, the ETIL practitioner. And right, the commitment, we spoke just before, commitment of the people that you are planning. Where do you need to have which person where on commitment level in order to ensure that once you go live, you have all the person with you. This is within service transition. Within continual service improvement, here the famous matrix, I will also speak afterwards on it. You can use it to know which knowledge, which skills, which training, which competence a person needs depending on his activities. Activities means processes in which is involved. He's a first level supporter, which know-how, which skills he needs. He's a change manager, he's a line manager, he's a financial, that doesn't matter who. Then on the moment you know what is his role, you should know from the processes which activity he has to do, and then you can also deduce which are the competence, skills, and trainings he needs. At the bottom of this slide, you have what is called communication strategy and plan. This is especially in very big companies, a big challenge, since big changes takes time. And normally it's a top-down approach, meaning that on strategic level, something is decided to be changed, and then a transformation will take place. Some communication is done, and once on strategic level is finished, then on tactical level it will start. Perhaps there are some overlap, and at the end, on operational level, at the end, meaning on the timeline, at the end, it could be half a year, 1 year, 2, 3 years afterwards. People from operation, suddenly are affected to a change, and the communication didn't went through. People don't understand what happened, or they heard 2 years before something on strategic level, can't make the link on what happened now. You have to ensure that at communication level there is some cascade of information which are traceable for any person in the organization, that people can understand what happens if something changes in strategy, that they know if they will be affected and how they will be affected afterwards. Also, it's very difficult at the beginning since you don't know exactly what are the impact. And on the other way around, once you are transforming on operation level, then you have to ensure that people can make the links with some transformation which are still running or finished on tactical or even on strategic level. Topic which is dealt in CSI within ETL. There, in continuous service improvement, the 8 steps of culture are also very present. We will come afterwards again when we will speak about it's the ETL practitioner, where it's also presented. What you can see already in the first step, called create a sense of urgency. If this doesn't happen, the risk that people will not support the change, the transformation, the project you want to achieve is very, very high. I will come afterwards. There will be a separate slide only on this point. ETL practitioner, here are from Axelos, quite new since a couple of years, very interesting training, where are also addressed the 9 guiding principles. Will not go in detail. I will go very quickly on it. Here you will have a lot of information which are focused on the people, on the person. Let's take the third one, for example, start where you are. It's very important, not only on technology, on process level, that when you change, you have to know what is the current state, since you are doing assessment or because you know already, but you have to ensure that you know also where people are on cultural level. How are they receptive to changes? Very, very important. Another one, for example, work holistically. You have to always, in service design, in ETL, we are speaking on the 4 P's, people, partners, process, etc. People is very, very important. You have to take them in consideration when you are changing something. Exactly the same, for example, for observe directly. You can have nice statistics and charts and numbers telling you a lot of things. Don't forget, go when you want to change something, go at the front, have a look how people are working, speak with them. You will have another feeling, it's another dimension which allow you afterwards to have a big picture, which is the right one once you want to start to change something. Be transparent. This is clear. Persons are very, very sensible when something is not transparent. And the idea of collaboration, taking affected people with you in the change, you will have them as supporter and not as people who will break everything. In the ETL practitioner, the topic of communication is a very big chapter also. You can see here a few examples of communication. You have to be aware about this. This is not always the strength of all IT peoples. It's very important to know what kind of communication. Here are 5 examples. For more information, you can go even deeper in the ETL practitioner. There are things which perhaps you saw it also in other frameworks or methodology where we have to be to know about the different type of communication. Also in the ETL practitioner, this is techniques are also there mentioned. For example, here the 4 techniques: visual, written, verbal, non-verbal. People has to know, especially managers, not communicating is a communication. We have to be aware. We have to be aware how to communicate. It's really it's very, very important and central thing within a change, so that you have people with you. You see a template as example, a stakeholder communication template. Once you did stakeholder management, a few slides before, you can put all the names of your stakeholder, how they are affected, and based on this, you can also afterwards define how you want to communicate with techniques, how often, etc., and do a very elaborated communication plan. So far, it's necessary, meaning you have to do something. How details, it depends always on the culture of your company and also the scope of the change you are running. Here, the RACI matrix, role and responsibilities. This is, I would say, the main pain in each change or in each organization. Who is doing what? In German, wer macht was? This is always a very painful topic, since if you have silos in your organization or something is not defined, there will be a ping pong on operational level, on strategic level, people are making decision, nobody makes decision. This is always one of the main activities which has to be well done. And so this affects a person, because behind the roles, you are doing a role assignment matrix, meaning you are assigning the role afterwards to a person. For example, here you have a product manager, so you have to assign to a person, and he or she will have to know exactly what are her or his responsibility. If this is not well done, it will fail, or the risk that it fails is very, very real. Or role and responsibilities. In the IT practitioner, we are also speaking about change resistance. We have to be aware. People from the project, people within a line, or a change manager has to know. We have to be aware that people are very often change resistant. They don't see a change as a change every time. And if you are aware, then you will invest if it's needed, and if you think it's the right person, you will invest in him so that you will have him on board. This is a whole chapter speaking about change resistant. Also, the next slide, this is also one of the most important. If a person doesn't understand the need of a change, meaning the sense of urgency I mentioned before coming from Kotter, meaning he doesn't understand why we are changing something, you will not have him on board. And there are a lot of cases where you see people are losing something, perhaps even their job, because you are doing, for example, outsourcing of your organization, and he's affected. But if he understands what is a need, why we are doing it for the organization, for example, if we are not doing it, everything will go down. This is what is necessary. If on logic, on rational level, if he doesn't understand this, then you have a problem. You always start with a why, because once he's on rational level convinced, then it will go on emotional level, and you have to know that a person is only changing something once he's on emotional level convinced. It's not enough only on rational level. He has to understand what is happening, why it's happening. For example, today within the agile world, why we have to be agile. What does it mean? And if you are not doing it, if he understands, then he will be on board. And this is a big investment, a very important slide. Why? What we saw before, also within the ETL service transition, we see again here within ETL practitioner another change curve where you see how a person reacts on a change on emotional level. It's another curve. Here also the frequency, how many times he will be denial, how many times he will go in a depression, could be a few times, and how long does it take on the time axis. This is also depending of any person. But if you, project manager or in the line, you know how people are reacting, yeah. So you know, okay, he's now in a depression. I will help him, and once we are help him to come out from this situation, you should know this curve. So it's coming from the psychology. It helps you afterwards also to deal with it. It's a very interesting topic which should be well known. Another emotional response to change coming from William Bridge, also that you have to know where a person is in during a phase of a transition. Do you have him with you, or he's change resistant, or like you see, anger or sadness? If you know exactly where, you know also what has to be done. Stakeholder management is also very, very present within the ETL practitioner, a very important activity. Here you can see a stakeholder map called also a power interest grid, where you have to try to place each person with name. You can start with roles and afterwards with name. I advise to do it with names because it's very personal. To answer what is the impact of the change on him and what is his interest in or his involvement to do with this. And this is quite important exercise at the beginning of a transformation. And on the right side, you see a sponsor management diagram where you can place everybody that you know who is where on with the organization, what is his degree of his position also in the line is important, knowing the influence he has on the organization. Resistant management. So here some examples how you can manage them, where you can see the positive or the negative, so left or right, forces field analysis, where you can analyze once you are doing, for example, in former small or bigger assessments that you know everybody, what are the big resistance you have or driving forces, and then you have to be sure, you have to decide how to manage them. On the right side, it's only a template. You can do it a bit more mathematic. Be careful with this. It could be that the score is very low, but something went wrong in the calculation. Be careful with this. Is playing with numbers, trying to put numbers behind emotional elements, even if you are trying to put some as rational statements, it's can make blind. The practitioner, again, the key activities, you can use it as process if you want. Again, this creates a sense of urgency, which is also coming for Kota. You can see all the important activities, you can do a process of it. It's something which will begin at the start of any change until the end. Stakeholder management, it's not only making an assessment, afterwards you have to manage them until you are going live, and even longer to ensure that you can also improve. Sponsor management, to have them on board. The communication, which is directly linked to stakeholder management. Like we mentioned before, you can merge both of them within one presentation, one tool, so that you know which stakeholder has to be when and how informed. Empowerment, very important. You need your organization to carry out the change afterwards, or to operate this change once implemented. So give them the feeling and also the competence to deal with this. Resistant management, we spoke before. You have to be careful and to try to find out who, where, which resistances here, and reinforcements, very important. All this was ETIL. ETIL meaning service strategy, service transition, continuous service improvement, and ETIL practitioner. Let's go to the next one, Lean. Lean IT, Lean. Here you see in the 5 dimensions which are dealt with in Lean, 2 dimensions are really dimensions which are related to organizational change management, behavior and attitude. Behind there is a culture and the organization. Let's start with behavior attitude. Here you see the 3 components within an organization, the structure itself, the visual management, and performance dialogue. You can read definition about organizational structure. This I will go one slide further, which will explain what are these 3 elements. Organizational structure is how you are organized. How you are organized in order to support the services you are providing your customer, in order to your business, in order to create value. The whole performance dialogue you can see also, and the visual management are also activity. So you see that all activities which are organization change management activities within Lean. And here, for example, the topic of communication we spoke. You see now another framework also, what we spoke before, from operation until on strategic level, ensures that the communication is going top down and bottom up, ensures that you know how one is supporting the other one, that you have a consistency in your organization. Here again, Lean. These 3 elements you find in order to have a good performing organization, starting by defining objectives as line management, giving to your organization all what they need to support them, and ensure that you receive feedback, that you can always ensure that the objectives are met, or that you can even correct your objective. Components you see everywhere. Let's say like this, Lean is coming from the 50s, so it's already half a century old. Started in Japan by Toyota, and today I would say more or less all the big frameworks are using Lean elements we see here in their own framework, meaning all the plan to check at PDCA and continuous service improvement, they are all coming from Lean. So here, let's say like this, Lean was the first one, let's say like this. Lean behavior, what is Lean behavior? You can see here a few examples. One very interesting is on the right side, the 5 whys. Always ask why. Why does it give sense? Is it bringing it a value? Lean is a kind a way of thinking. It's which afterwards comes in expression in activities. And once these activities are well implemented within an organization, that everybody is doing it, then you will have a culture. The culture is coming from the activities you have in an organization. You cannot force a culture. A culture is nothing other than the expression of the behavior of the people in your organization. You want to change your culture? Okay, so you have to change the behavior of the people. To change the behavior of the people, you have to convince them. They have to be on board with the new way of thinking. For example, to improvements, for example, how to deal with improvement, putting a question mark in order to improve and restart. Why attitude is necessary for Lean? Yeah, you can see the characteristic of attitude. You see it's very, very focused on the person, nothing to do with technology, with process. It's always it's a philosophy, how people should think, how people should work in order to deliver services to customer. Here, again, Lean also is coming with such a curve showing that the behavior of a person is always depending on his expectation. And the expectation of everybody is another one. There is professional, the private expectation, a person who wants to realize himself, and based on this he will react. But at the end, there is always some curve with some steps. We see here again with again, for example, a value of despair, because was depression before, always the same idea coming in also in the lean framework or lean philosophy, let's say like this. Scrum. A couple of slides about Scrum, agile world. Here I took from the 6 principles, I took 3, which I put some details. Here you can see that Scrum is again depending on the culture of an organization. You need people supporting this, for example, making decisions based on observation experience, yeah, and instead of before, yeah, or for example, a self-organized organization. This is idea that you have a team, we'll see on the next slide, which is self-organized, which is also cross-functional with a mix of people which are able within one sprint to achieve what you decided with the voice of the customer, and this has a product owner, what should be done in this sprint from the backlog. And this, so you need an organization supporting. The Scrum Master is not a project manager telling exactly how to do it. He's only an enabler for such a self-organization to achieve the goals which are defined. Collaboration, very, very important. See especially that we have a mixed team, that you have that people are working together. Very often in such a team, you have different people, developers on one side, and for example, people of operation, 2 worlds. They have to work together in order to ensure that you are achieving what's necessary within a sprint. Second slide, for Scrum, what I mentioned before, this cross-functional team, yeah, you see independent, self-motivated, customer-focused, responsible, collaborative, all soft skills, so real person-related, where you have to be and to ensure that it's done. This is organizational change management. You want to have Scrum in your organization, yeah, you want to work lean, you want to work agile, yeah, so you have to ensure that you have all this soft skill, and this you have to bring it in your organization. This is organizational change management. Like you can see the advantage, communication, and is again one of the main activities which have to ensure that it's done in such a Scrum cross-functional team. DevOps, the fourth movement. I will not speak about framework or practices. We are speaking about movement. And here again, the idea that people are working with DevOps. If this is the golden circle from Simon Sinek, is really pointing out the necessary that if you want to bring people to work in an agile method, working together in a team, people from development and operation doing DevOps at the end, you need to start with a why. Why you are doing this? Why people has to understand and to be convinced on emotional level. Then you can think afterwards how to do it and what have to be based on with technology, how to organize and where, etc. Okay, but start always with a why. It's a very, very essential part within DevOps. Yeah, the wall of confusion, again, organizational change manager has to deal with this. From one side, you have, on the left side, you have people of development. They like to change. They are very near to the people, to the business. People are very often from application. They understand the need to change quickly because business need. On the other side, you have people from operations who want to ensure stability, since knowing that the production environment has to run properly, and very often a change brings with it some risk for non-stability. And now you have to bring both worlds in one team, one organization, small organization. Again, organizational change management is here at home. DevOps with the three principles. I will speak only on the last one, which is very, very culture dependent. The third way, the continuous experimentation and learning, is a real culture thing, meaning that within the organization, you have to ensure that you allow to experiment, you allow to fail, to learn once on it. And this kind of thinking, this is very, very anchored within DevOps, especially in the third way, called continuous experimentation and learning. This is a very important topic. This slide is within a DevOps training is very central and also developed. In DevOps, we are speaking about the counts. These are the 5 values. I will speak only on the red one, that on the top, the culture one. And these are the next few slides coming, which are very important in order to have an organization working with DevOps IDs. Here are a few statements about culture, organizational culture. You see the value of behaviors that contribute to a unique social and psychological environment of an organization. You see again people, psychology, how to work. These are some keywords. You have other 2 statements: high trust organization, good information flow, cross-functional collaboration are also elements coming from Scrum, since DevOps is let's say, taking and making a mix of a few frameworks, and one of them is Scrum. So the idea of Agile, these cross-functional teams working together, based also on Lean. Lean, we spoke before, and also the classical IT service management, ETIL, meaning you need some process, but surely adapted just what's enough. Another slide about culture depth. This is a very, very dangerous play when people are trying to give the force and the schools, the depth to the next one. This happens very often when you have organizations which are very silo thinking, everybody for himself. I'm doing my job, but no idea from what's or not knowing exactly what is doing my neighbor, and so giving my neighbor organization giving depth all the time, right and left. Very nice. Who is at the end suffering of it? The IT, sure, but more than this, the customer, since you have incident not solved, changes which are not implemented on time, etc., etc. Culture change. And this is one of the main questions. You have to be aware that any employee is always asking to himself, what's in it for me? A change is coming. What does it mean for me? How I am affected? Everybody is asking this. We as managers, as project managers, as consultants, as culture, we have to understand what is happening in the head of our employees, of our customer, of people, of stakeholders affected through a change, in order that we are able to know, to bring an answer and to know what has to be done to ensure that the change, that the transformation will happen properly. And you have to be aware that a person don't make any resistance to a change he is involved. Once he has a positive answer or an understandable answer on what's in it for me, yes, then the chance we will see afterwards, 86% of the people are on board with you. we'll see afterwards on a curve these numbers and facts. Oh, this is the one I mentioned. This is very interesting. This is an Empire study showing how many people are ready to be a partner of a change in organization. So on the horizontal axis, you have 100% of people, yeah, and you see on the left side when a change is coming, 2.5% are innovators, are people. They are always here for new changes. You don't have to invest so much effort to have them on board. You explain them what it is. Perhaps they will even come alone and ask, and then you have it. Then you have the early adopters, are people who are, you have them also on board. You need to explain it once and you have it. And in the middle, so this 68%, you have the early majority and late majority, where you have to invest a bit more or even more, but the people which with the time they are looking what's happening, and once they understood what's in it for me, they will come and also be a partner of your change. You will have only 60% of people, 16% of people, which it will be very difficult. And then you will have to decide at the end what is happening. So are people where, or they are going by themselves because they say, no, it's not for me, or they are forced to quit the organization where the change is running since there is no place for them. Meaning, say it a bit more positively, that you have 84% of people from your existing organization potentially who will agree, who are willing to do with a change under the conditions that you are investing in organization and change management. For the innovators and early adopters, you don't have to invest so much, but don't forget them. For the early majority and the late majority, you have to invest more, but you have very often you have to think, are they needed? Are perhaps people with good skills? Bringing new people, it's not always a solution. You have to invest you have to invest a lot in new people. You have already an organization, knowing a lot about process, knowing a lot about your organization. You have to think, and it's also an advice from my side, invest in these people, because 84% of the people normally you can have them with your transformation. Here again, the curve, the change curve, again, you see it, it's another design, another kind of curve, but exactly the same. Starting left, yeah, the shock, the denial, what's not possible, and you change. No, it's not true. And then there is anger coming out, and then resistance, and even resignation. No, I'm not doing. And then coming the exploration. Oh, everybody is doing what's this, and then person's accepting it, and then he will build on it and commit himself. How quick does it go? Like I mentioned, depends on each person. A few statements, a few topics also dealt within DevOps: communication, collaboration, very important. We spoke about conflict, very important, in the middle. Yeah. You can see also from Thomas Killman this green chart. When you are doing stakeholder management, yeah, you can put them. You can use also such kind of chart to see who is in conflict with what, to understand afterwards what you have to do. Change fatigue. This is a very important one, especially nowadays where everything is going very quick and every manager try to put his footprint and change something. That you have to know that there are a lot of organizations which are change which are fatigue, we have some apathy to change, don't believe in me. I see it all the time, and you come to know this time it will happen, and they are laughing because already 10, 20, 30 years in the organization, and they know exactly what happened until now. And once it will really happen, and they will not be able to differentiate, will this transformation really happen this time? Will it be implemented, or will it stay somewhere in the design phase? This is very important that you are aware about this change fatigue. And here, this is Mr. Kotter, which we mentioned also in service, continual service improvement, ETIL, coming also and within develop with his process 8 steps to transform an organization. And like you see, the first one, which I'm quite a fan of it, you have people has to understand the urgency of what you want to change. Why are you changing it? This is also like the golden circle. This is emotion. When people understand why it's urgent, the emotion are convinced, you have them on board. It's not finished, but the first step is done. Communication, etc., etc. Yes, then Hermes project management. Since we have a few people here, I see in the webinar coming from even Latin America, I have to explain. Hermes is a Swiss project management. It's a Swiss project management methodology, which is free, which on the admin.hermes.ch website you can download. Everything is for free. You can have it in 4 languages: German, Italian, French, and English. I'm using here the English version. You will see that in some modules, let's go. The first one, I brought 2. The module called Organizational Structure, here in Switzerland, well known as Geschäftsorganisation. You see exactly the mainly elements of organizational change management, meaning that you have here a project management methodology. If you are using it properly and using this module and with this activity behind this module, you will have exactly the activity you have to do. Here, the responsibility is by the business analyst. These are more in German we'll say fachliche elements, components which are really related to the organization, to the process of used in the organization, and less to the next one, deployment organization, which is in the hand of the project management, so Einführungsorganisation, where we are more on meta level, where you are doing activities. You can see afterwards when you see the slide, you can see the activities like stakeholder management and communication. So again, the same thing within project management. It is more for service management. Here we have within project management. You see exactly the same activities. And last slide, the business simulation. Business simulation, here you have a list. So it's a list of business simulation we, Glenfis, are also offering, and which are well known for us because we are using them all the time within trainings or within projects where we are trying through a simulation to play a situation so that the people can afterwards identify themselves and learn something they can use afterwards in the daily business. For example, DevOps, it's clear. Grab a pizza for business relationship management to understand what has to be done to ensure that what we IT are doing on strategic level, financial, business requirement, until on service desk level, to ensure that everything what is done within the IT is aligned to the business need. And this is a role, business relationship management, which is there central in this simulation game, let's say like this. It's very also fun. Apollo 13, this is another one. This is more for IT operations, where the crew, the whole crew, whole crew on the floor has to bring back the astronauts, and then you have a lot of incidents change. So real operations, very, very exciting simulation. Lego for Scrum, for example, ABC. So here it's, for example, the whole behavior, attitude, behavior, and culture with this card, meaning in this card we will play and discuss the worst practices, not the best practices we know, for example, from ETL, but the worst practices which are done by us IT, and what does it mean? And this is a difficult exercise, or the challenging part from this game. What is the challenge? What is the impact of my worst practice as IT person for my business? What's the impact for my business? Cloud computing, also a simulation. Challenger of Egypt for project management. OCM 99, this is more security. Polestar, business-oriented service management. I put the link, you can have a look. There is a fact check on the internet. Yeah, so here you have an overview of all the frameworks, practices, movement, if I would say, and simulations we spoke about, from ETL, Lean, Scrum, DevOps, Hermes. You see, it's very, very wide. You have to do it in order to ensure success in your transformation, independently on which framework, which practice. Nowadays, it's already implemented, integrated in these frameworks and practice, more or less. Be aware that you have to do it. Before I go to the question, perhaps one slide. Here, you will receive the slide on our website. You can download it later on. You can see where the webinar is recorded, and also which is the next webinar in 18 April, where my colleague Ralph will spoke about new training called CM training. If there are some questions, I would be pleased to answer. Just raise your hands